Hello. The topic of this video is how to prepare an initial eligibility review. The eligibility review is used to determine if the participant is eligible for CMHW services. The Access site submits the initial eligibility review after completing the participant information, which includes the demographics, contact information, and diagnosis. So let's begin. To begin our eligibility review, we need to select the participant. From our participant page, we're going to choose Sally Seashore. From the participant page, then we're going to scroll over to the Eligibility Reviews tab. This will have the list of eligibility reviews completed. Since this is the initial, there's nothing listed. So we're going to go to choose a new eligibility review. As you see, the participant's last name and first name are completed when you open the eligibility review. Underneath the last name is a name field that says empty type, and the name field is locked. That is because this is actually the name of the eligibility review, and that will be filled in once we save it. The first field for us to complete is the type. There are two types of eligibility reviews, an initial and an annual. Access site will only complete the initial eligibility review. All annual reviews are completed by the RAP facilitator. So we're going to choose initial, and then we're going to choose to save. So we know now that the ER has been created and saved because the name populates both here in the field and at the top of the screen. The name of the eligibility review includes the type, the participant's unique ID, and the date. So now that we've submitted, saved the ER, let's take a look at the Warnings tab. The Warnings tab will show you all of the required information that is needed to complete this eligibility review. As we complete the ER, warnings will come off of the list. So as you can see here, we have a lot to get done. So let's get back to that General tab. In the General tab, let's start on the left column. Underneath the type of ER is the submitted date, and that will populate when the ER has been submitted. Submitted by, that needs to be you as the person completing the ER. So just search for your name and choose yourself. The funding source is CMHW, that will not change. And the treatment goal. The treatment goal is the same for all initial participants. It's going to be to begin wraparound facilitation. Okay. So then onto the second column, underneath the first name, the unique ID, that will be filled in by the system. Ready to submit, we're not ready to do that yet, so we're going to skip that one for now. Application date, this is one we need to fill in. So we need to put in here the date that the individual applied for CMHW. You can either type in the date here, or you can use the calendar tool to select the day in which the participant actually signed the application. And then ER status is in progress, and it's going to remain in progress until we have it completed. Safe and feasible, is the person safe and feasible to receive services? And we're going to say yes. Pick list attached. We have not done the pick list yet, so we're not going to check this yet. The owner is going to default to the person who's completing the eligibility review. And the modified by will also be filled in by the system. So a youth does not have to have Medicaid to have their eligibility for the program completed. So if the youth does not have an active Medicaid number, you will indicate so by clicking this box here. And the original submission date is also going to be filled in once the ER has been submitted. So let's go ahead and click Save again. And then let's return to the Warnings tab and see. Okay, good. Our list is looking shorter, so that's great. The next tab next to general is the CANS information. So CANS information is where you're going to put the information that you have in your possession from the most recent CANS assessment. So while looking at that, you use the information to fill out these fields. You'll need the CANS ID. You'll need the recommendation listed. And so we'll choose RAP facilitation. You'll need the decision from the 1915I. And then you need the date that it was completed. And then again, we will click save. I like to choose save through each tab as we complete it, just to make sure that the information is in there. The decision information, that is reserved for DMHA staff, and they will complete that as they review the eligibility review. And then let's look at the warnings tab again. Okay, good. So it says the pick list must be uploaded, and the pick list upload check box must be checked. So that's what's missing now. Good. But before we go to the pick list, you should also note that if there are warnings here that are not on the eligibility review, you will need to return to that participant's main screen to follow up on the appropriate tab as needed. So examples that you might find here is information missing on the demographics tab. So if the gender or referral source or participant location are not filled in, a participant diagnosis could be missing, the race or the primary caregiver. All of that could be missing here from these records. So you would need to return to that place for this participant and add the missing information. So once the changes have been entered and saved, then you will return to the eligibility review tab, open this eligibility review, and check the warnings again. So if you made a change and the warning is still listed, go back and make sure that the change that you made has been saved correctly, and then return again. So this leaves us with the missing pick list attachment. Now, I did complete a video in this series that covers creating a pick list, so we're not going to cover those steps here. Once you have the pick list completed and signed by the participant, you will need to scan it into your network somewhere. So maybe you have a document folder or a place that you keep all of your scanned documents. You will then need to attach the pick list for this eligibility review. So attachments are put in the eligibility review here in the notes tab, which is right next to the warnings tab. The screen is going to default, be ready to accept a new note. So we'll use the pencil right next to the pencil, and we will type our note. And this is where you add the description of the attachment. So this one is going to be pick list. And down here, you can click the attachment. And then add note to attach it. So you will see here now that the note is attached. Here is the information we added to the note, and here is the attachment. Other needed forms to be submitted with the eligibility review include the attestation form and the CANS form. These two forms can be scanned together with the pick list, so you have one document attached, or you can enter them as 3 separate notes with individual attachments. So if we were going to add the attestations form, we would click up here to write a new note. We would make our note here. And then go to attach our attachment again, choose the one we want, and add it. So I'm just going to put the same file we did before, and then choose add note. So now you'll see we have 2 notes with 2 attachments. Then if you would need to add the CANS form here following those same steps, but I'm not going to go through the steps again. So after we have our attachments here, let's go to the warnings tab again. Okay, still shows the pick list is not attached. So let's go to the General tab. And then we find that Pick List Attached box. And since we have attached those to this document, we will click the box and we'll hit Save. And then just to be sure, we're going to go back to the Warnings tab. And the eligibility review has been successfully validated. You will not be able to submit your ER until all of your warnings have been cleared out. So one more time, go through and review your eligibility review for your accuracy. Make sure there's no spelling errors and your dates are correct and the information that you have added. Review your CANS information. Make sure you have the notes that you need. Once it has been reviewed and is ready, the eligibility review needs to be submitted to the site coach. So to submit to the site coach, we need to mark Ready to Submit on the General tab. You see the the status here is listed as in progress. The site coach cannot review this assessment until it says completed or submitted, excuse me. So go to the Ready to Submit tab and change from no to yes. Then save. And save and close. Okay, so you will see here that now the eligibility review is listed as submitted. If it is still listed as in progress, you can go here and click refresh and it will update the status for you. So we're going to return to our participant board and we're going to look for, we're going to return to general and then we're just going to go back to our main board and look for Sally. Sally is no longer on our list. And if we search for her by her name, she's not here. She's not available to us. This is because our access is denied. And don't be alarmed when this happens. It's to be expected. Once the eligibility review has changed to submitted status, this participant is no longer available to you as the access site person. This has been transmitted and is now assigned to DMHA for processing. Once DMHA receives the review, they have two options. They can approve it and the participant will be moved to the next step in the process, or they can say that a change is needed. When a change is needed, you will receive an email that the eligibility review has been returned for correction. So let's look at an example of a returned review. There was a returned review for Chester Cheetah. So to follow up on that request, you need to find your participant and you need to go to the eligibility reviews. Open the said review and go over to the notes section. So in the notes section, here is where we see two things. We'll see the note that DMHA has submitted to us telling us what is missing. And we will also see a copy of the email that was sent to us telling us that there were issues. So a copy of what you will get is you will receive the participant ID along with a link that will take you to the system to fix the issue. So once then you make the corrections that have been requested here on the notes, they're saying the diagnosis is incomplete and complete and attach the CANS. Once you have completed that, you'll return back to the general section and then you will choose to resubmit the document. And that can go back and forth until DMHA has everything that they need to make a decision for eligibility. You will be notified when the decision is made and when the participant has been assigned to the wraparound facilitator. And that concludes the process for how to submit an initial eligibility review. Have a good day.